Hi, and welcome to my next video of Yoga Bites. This video is about and on the playlist of attention, because today our attention is going to be on the hips. And hopefully, once you're finished this little workout, you're going to feel like you got some happy hips going. So let's go over to the mat. I'm just going to turn on my little timer so I make sure that I don't go too far over these, short videos. I want them to be videos that you'll want to use because the time is perfect for you. So just like I say, these bites of yoga. And when we do the bites of yoga that have to do with attention, I talked about it. Remember to go back on my other videos where I talked about how it's at the tension of something. So it's not going to be a lot of talk, but more feeling. So letting the body talk and feeling that. So with that said, let's come up onto all fours. And as we bring ourselves onto all fours, if you feel you need more support under your knees, you can just roll your mat so it makes it a little bit thicker. Or you can take a blanket and put that underneath your knees if that's what you need. I want you to bring your hands just underneath your shoulders and then your knees just underneath your hips. Make sure there's a little distance between the hands, like the two hands from each other and the two knees. And so it's almost like when you see me here, you could put a box between my hands and my knees. You don't want the hands too far forward because it's gonna work on, it's gonna be too hard on the arms. So I wanna make sure that your arms are right underneath your armpits, your chest and everything, so it gets this support as you build your foundation here. And then I just want you to bring some awareness to your hips. And I want you to start by just swinging the hips from side to side. So I call this swing, it's like the polar bear swing. I see those polar bears with that big body and they just kind of move it nice and slow. All I want you to do is just become aware of your hips, your pelvis, your lower back, your lower area of the stomach, and also the front of the hips, the side of the hips, back. And no judgment, you're just feeling how they feel so that once we're done with this little set of exercises, maybe you'll feel a difference. That's my intention with this. So from this position, now I want you to start doing a circular movement, but I want you to use only the hips. So you bring the hips to the right on the in-breath, forward. And as you breathe out, you go to the left and back. In-breath, right, forward, out-breath, left, back. In and out. In and out. And again, you're just feeling those hips. They could feel maybe a little bit tight and stiff. And if they do, try and breathe into those hips. So really just bringing attention to where you're feeling it. And then you're going to go the opposite direction. So just going onto all fours is relaxing for our hips and also for our lower back. If we've been sitting a lot during the day or standing a lot during the day, this position is just really good to let go of some of that tension. Okay, one more swing here. And then you're just going to hold it still. If you need to change your position of your hands, for example, you can bring yourself up onto fists, or you can reach your little thumb forward here too, or you can even turn your hands out a little bit, or you can bring yourself up onto your tips of your fingers if you just need to change that position because of your wrists. Just be aware of lifting the chest. So lifting the chest and lifting the shoulders is going to take some of that pressure off of your hands. So grabbing onto the mat. So you're also using your fingers to, again, take some of that pressure off of your wrists so that you see the white in your nails. Again, I want you to bring your awareness to the hips. Now what you're going to do is you're going to stretch your right foot back, pushing all of the toes down onto the mat. And just starting here, feeling the stretch through your right leg, from the right hip all the way down to the toes, and pushing that foot as though you were pushing your foot up against the wall. Keep the lift in the shoulders, the lift in the chest, and just breathe here. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to let the feet go, and you're going to bend that knee, flexing your foot, and take a nice deep breath. And you're just going to push that foot as you breathe in towards the roof. Breathe out and let it go. Breathe in, push it up. Breathe out, let it go. Breathe in, push it up. Breathe out, let it go. 2 more. Good, then you're gonna stretch that leg out behind you and cross your right leg over to the left. Now I'm gonna turn with my back towards you just so that you can see where I'm going. So from this position, you're gonna cross your right leg over to the left, putting all the toes onto the floor. So really being aware that your toes are touching the floor. Then from here, you're going to turn your body towards the left, keeping that lift in the chest, and then try and see if you can look towards your back right heel. And stay here, taking some deep breaths. So I'm just going to turn it around again here, crossing it, and then rotating towards the left, looking towards your right heel. Let's take 3 more breaths here. So really lift up through that chest, grab with those fingers. And then on your next in-breath, you're gonna let that foot go, and then you're gonna pull it up towards your hands. So your leg now goes in between your hands. We're gonna move into the pigeon pose. And here, I'm gonna give you some options. So now I'm gonna turn away into the front towards you so you can see from here. So if you have really tight hips, your first option might be just going like this so that your leg is just underneath the thigh. So this is your first option. This might be the best thing for you. The next option is that you might be able to bring your right foot out towards your left hip. That might be the next option. And if it feels okay for you, you might even be able to move your foot out directly in line with your right knee. Now you can see my hips are lifted here, and this is where it might be stiff and sore for a lot of people. So this is where a block can come in handy, or a pillow, or your blanket. So I'm turning with the side. So you're finding that position, whether the foot is towards the hip or the foot is forward, and then you just bring that block underneath your right cheek, butt cheek here. So the block is just sitting here, or you could also use, like I say, a blanket or a pillow or whatever it is you have at home. If it's books, you can do this. So if you cannot reach the mat without tilting to the side, so you want to have both the hips square and no tilting to the side. If you can't do that, then you need to support yourself. Please take care of yourself. I'm not there to help you to put that stuff there for you. So you have to take the responsibility to take care of yourself. So in this pigeon pose, let's start by just pushing ourselves away from the bent knee and creating this pigeon breast, rolling our shoulders back and bringing the shoulder blades in towards each other. And then just take 3 breaths here. Deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Really lift the chest bone and keeping the chin in towards the chest, or you can even let your head back if you really want to stretch that throat a little bit. It's totally up to you. So that's another option. And then you really want to just make sure that this back foot, if you can see here, you're really pushing it down onto the mat. So don't forget, you always want to be aware of both actions, the one that's going on in front and the one that's going on behind you. Now we're just going to start moving towards the mat, coming down lower. And here again, you could use blocks. You can use pillows. You can use support. There's so many options here. And it's an amazing pose, but it also is often very challenging. You really want to be aware of your right knee and how it feels on the right knee. So if your knee is bothering you, then you have to move that foot out of the way, maybe even just underneath, like I showed you in the first option, where you bring the leg just right underneath the thigh. So like this is a little bit easier for the knee. So it's not a much twist in the knee. So again, just really work your way into what is feeling good for you. And then we're just coming down. We're going to take 5 more breaths here. Use your blocks. You can even rest your forehead on the block, or a pillow, or a blanket. It's really just up to you. And this is what makes your practice that much sweeter, is you choose whatever feels good for you. And whatever's going to feel good for those happy hips. Maybe not so happy right now, but they will be. And then we're just going to lift up with a nice deep breath. Now here, because there's this twitch in the knee, you really want to be careful and take care. So gently just pulling that leg back and underneath you is the most easiest way to bring yourself out of this position. And then maybe just going from here, bring yourself back to all fours. And for me, I kind of like to do that polar bear swing again, just kind of releasing some of that tension that could be in the hips. Just moving with nice, long, deep breaths from side to side. And as you at home are just swinging, I'm just going to turn myself around so that I'm ready to move on to the other side, show you what we're doing here from the other side. So from here, stretch your left foot back, bringing the left toes onto the mat and pushing through that foot, grabbing with your fingers, lifting the chest, starting with this nice long stretch from the front of your left hip all the way down through the leg. Couple more deep breaths here. Good. Perfect. Timing is good today. And then from here, we take a nice deep breath in. We lift that leg, bend the foot, flex the foot. Breathe in, pushing that heel towards the roof. Breathe out, let it go. Breathe in, push up. Breathe out, let it go. Breathe in, push up. Breathe out, let it go. 2 more. Nice. Then you stretch the leg, cross the foot all the way over. I'm just going to push that little blanket out of the way. So cross the foot now. The left leg goes to the right. And then push the toes into the floor, just like we did before. Lift through your chest, twist over to the right, and see if you can look at your left heel. Keeping that lift and nice deep breaths here. In through the nose, out through the nose. Keep feeling both the actions, what's going on with the feet, the legs, what's going on with the fingers, the chest, the shoulders. And then with your next deep breath in, you're going to bring that leg back, and then you're going to pull it up towards your hands. So the three options again. So here, the leg goes directly underneath the thigh. This is the easy one, and it's easiest also for your knees. Then if it feels okay to go a little bit further, you're bringing your foot towards your right hip. And then if it feels okay, you can bring your foot directly away from the knee. But what's most important is that you don't tilt. You don't feel like you're leaning over to one side. And this is where, again, a block can be handy to come underneath your butt, a pillow, if you need that, some like extra support. It's so important that you don't really bring the knee into any much more of a position that's going to be creating damage to it. And that's what you need to notice. So up on the top of your fingertips, pushing through the fingertips, lifting the chest, giving yourself a little back bend here. And if you want to take care of your neck, you just want to be careful with your neck, keep the chin in towards the throat. If it feels okay for you, then you can just let the head go back nice and slowly. So everything's always done slowly. There's no rush. There's no rush. And you can stay here for 5 breaths, getting a nice stretch to the throat, or just keeping the chin into the chest, pulling the navel in towards the chest, keeping your awareness also to the back leg and feeling the back leg and how it too is working and a part of this foundation. And nice and gently, you're just going to move yourself down closer to the mat. So you may be able to go all the way down. And again, you have to remember that no matter which position you choose, you're getting a stretch exactly what you need for your body. So please don't push or force anything. So if you want to, you can stretch your arms forward and bring your whole body down to the mat if that feels okay for you. But if it doesn't, if it feels too hard, it really tweaks in the knee or whatever, then you need to pull yourself back. So retreat, come back and find out other options. Should I put my elbows on a block, on a book, on a something else? Should I use my elbows on the floor? So the amount of options available are really up to our imagination. It's just finding that peaceful spot so that we can stay in the stretch, feel the stretch, bring our attention to the stretch. Let's take 3 more breaths here. When you lift yourself up on the next in-breath, pulling that foot behind and underneath the thigh again, and then just bringing yourself back onto all 4s. The little polar bear swing here. And as you're doing that polar bear swing, just see if you don't notice any kind of change in those hips. And keeping the hips open, keeping the knees out to the sides of your mats, push your butt back to your heels. So you're going into your child's pose and just kind of, again, moving that body into the pose and then just finding a position in this pose to just relax, bringing the forehead to the mat and taking some deep breaths here. And as you sit in this child's pose, Balasana, as you're here, just breathing deeply, I'm just going to sit up and end this video with a few little last thoughts on these happy hips. So these positions, you can always hold a little longer if you have the time. So you can hold these stretches for 1 minute, for 2 minutes, even 3 minutes in the different stretches if it feels good for you. And it's an amazing way to just give the hips the gravity in the opposite direction of what they've been doing, and also getting some, creating some space, some more rotational work in those. So I hope you enjoyed this little yoga bite of happy hips, and I hope to see you on some of my other videos. So take care until we see you another time. Namaste.